Hello everyone, welcome to the Phaetus Livestream. I'm Eva, today's host. I am very happy and honored to welcome our dear users, distribution partners, and KOLs to our launch event. We are excited to share some good news with you. Let me introduce Jing Wu, CEO of the Phaetus, for a brief introduction into the company Phaetus.
谢谢。大家好，我是 Phaetus 吴静，欢迎大家观看本次直播。第一次以这种形式和大家见面，非常兴奋，也特别开心。首先，请允许我代表 Phaetus 感谢大家对我们长期以来的信任与支持，特别感谢我们忠诚的粉丝用户、意见领袖、品牌厂商和经销合作伙伴，感谢 3D 打印社区，感谢以卧龙为代表的开源平台对我们一直以来的支持与鼓励。Phaetus 成立于2019年，致力于高端 3D 打印挤出系统的研发设计，同时基于行业应用，为客户提供包括材料、挤出系统及打印工艺于一体的集成化系统解决方案。Phaetus 名字的灵感来自于古希腊神话中的工匠之神赫菲斯托斯，就像赫菲斯托斯为众神打造器具一样，Phaetus 希望为 3D 打印行业和社区在制造产品上助力，基于行业需求，结合用户痛点，提供解决方案，增强用户体验。Supreme Pursuit 作为我们品牌的 slogan， 时刻鞭策我们杰出的产品源于对细节的极致追求，我们秉承敬业、精益、专注、创新，在 3D 打印领域传承新时代的工匠精神。
Thank you, Jing, for the introduction of Phaetus. As most of our audience have already know, Phaetus has invested in a 3D printing research and development company. Which company is it, and why would Phaetus invest in this company? We will invite Jane to answer this question for us. 好的，感谢你的分享。那么我们大部分的观众已经知道 ，Phaetus 投资了一家 3D 打印的研发公司。那么是哪一家公司，并且又为什么要投资这家公司呢？那么我们还是请您来回答一下吧。
谢谢。很高兴在大家的见证下公布这一重大消息。Phaetus 投资的公司是 Job Effect， 大家对这个 logo 是不是印象深刻？在我们合作之际，我们对 Job Effect 的品牌进行了全新的升级。Phaetus 是所以投资这家公司，因为 Phaetus 长期战略规划中需要拥抱能够补充我们产品线的具有创新性、专业性和研究驱动型的挤出系统合作伙伴。因此，在4月份 ，Phaetus 投资了德国 3D 打印研发公司 Job Effect。Job Effect 具有如何打印柔性材料的大量创新理念，并掌握了有关打印工艺的核心技术。所以，柔性材料打印解决方案的潜力值得我们期待。这种投资伙伴关系对我们来说是完美的匹配。在过去几个月，我们的沟通交流和相互分享，不难看出，我们互相信任、紧密合作，彼此奉献，追求创新。此次与 Job Effect 战略合作，我们在资源上的互补，将极大地促进中欧之间的研发协同效应和产业深度应用。双方共享母公司的高质量、大规模制造、供应链的整合、销售渠道和品牌成长等等方面拥有的强大优势协同发展，对原型设计和批量化生产的效率提升、产品稳定性等起到积极性作用。未来，我们将更专注于高端 3D 打印挤出系统的创新设计、垂直整合、优势资源共享和独立品牌运营。
Thank you for these answers. So that why would Phaetus and Job Effect agree to this cooperation, and what will this cooperation bring to users and industry? Once again, we will invite Jane to answer this question for us. 好的，感谢您的回答。那么，为什么 Phaetus 会和 Job Effect 同意这次合作？这次合作又会为用户和行业带来什么呢？我们再次请您来回答一下这个问题。
谢谢。这个问题有一些意思。因为业务的往来，认识了 Job Effect 的创始人 Max， 在交往过程中，能看出 Max 为人坦诚、有担当，对工作认真负责，愿与分享，对技术的热爱和高标准要求印象深刻。我们对 3D 打印行业的发展都充满了信心，对彼此优劣势互补产生的能量非常期待。在彼此价值观趋同的前提下，就有了一起共事的想法。我认为这种合作是多方共赢，不仅是我们双方，同时也让品牌厂商及最终用户受益，在获取高质量和高性价比的创新产品上有更多的选择性。整个 3D 打印行业也将在创新和应用方面获得新的动力。此次的合作标志我们在过去几年中一直在努力的长期战略迈出了一大步，也是我们展望未来全新面貌的开始。我坚信，在 Max 的带领下，我们以用户为导向，追求极致的经营理念，不断创新，勇往直前。
Thank you, June, for sharing the company strategy with us. Now let's hear what the new Phaetus Research and Development Director and Job Effect founder Maximilian Arnold has to say. He is connected to us from his office in Germany to further introduce the Job Effect brand.
Thank you, Eva. Hello, everyone. My name's Max. I'm the founder of Job Effect. Let me first introduce myself. I studied management science and business administration at the University of Kent in England, where I graduated in 2010. Then I moved to Scotland, to the University of Edinburgh, where I studied operational research, which is basically applied mathematics, and I graduated in 2011. And then I moved to Germany to study chemical and process engineering at the Karlsruhe Institute of Technology, where I graduated in 2016. In 2019, I decided to found the company Drop Effect with the aim to market a extruder called the Omnia Drop, which I've been working on now for the last 4 years, which had some specific design goals. So it should be lightweight, it should have a customizable architecture, so it fits to a lot of different kind of 3D printers, have an optimized airflow and cooling system, and the optimized heating system, which is basically the ring heater, and intuitive operation, which means loading and unloading the filament easily or conveniently using the manual wheel, and have also easy maintenance in case something goes wrong. So by removing 3 screws from that extruder, you can get complete access to the whole filament path in case something goes wrong. As you might guess, a lot of these components have different kind of suppliers. And in late 2020 it was, Phaetus actually contacted me if I would be interested in trying out their heat break manufacturing technique. So anybody who doesn't know what a heat break is, it's an essential component in any kind of hot end or extruder that connects the cold side to the hot side. And this transition is quite crucial because as the filament heats up, it swells and can stick to the walls. And to avoid this kind of sticky behavior, you need very highly polished inner bore of the heat break. So changing a supplier is not a trivial thing, because if that component doesn't work, your whole system will not work reliably. However, when Phaetus sent me their heat break, I was very well impressed with their design choices. First of all, we chose to use titanium because it has a high thermal barrier, and as such the temperature transition is quite sharp. Then the surface finish on the inside bore of the heat break, they sent me was excellent because it has a mirror-like finish, so the filament has very little chance of sticking to the walls. And the tolerances actually exceeded what I actually hoped for they could deliver. So the overall package delivered on the heat break was excellent. It was really great and helped a lot also to further the OmniDrop's performance. We started then over the last year or two actually talking about manufacturing more and more components using Phaetus, and it came to a point at some point that we decided that we had hit this kind of wall, this barrier, because we needed to divulge more and more information for them to manufacture the components in a certain way that they achieve the properties we wanted to. So to not divulge too much research and development, we realized at some point we have to open up to each other more and more. And at some point we said, okay, the logical conclusion is to merge those two companies so we can work faster and better together on those components. And there is a good reason why Phaetus is a good choice as a partner, because they have a good branding expertise, they have excellent marketing channels, a great sales channels, as hopefully a lot of you resellers actually know and got to know them. They have a very good R&D facility, which was the most interesting part for me personally, because with the research and development, you know in which direction the company goes in. And once we started working together at the beginning of the year already, we merged those two R&D departments kind of together and found out that we have very complementary research and development going on. So the fit was ideal. And the company philosophy needs to be similar to each other. And we had basically a perfect match on that one as well, because our philosophy of going forward and manufacturing those components were very, very similar. So it was an ideal cooperation. And the most important part for me personally was the precision manufacturing. Precision manufacturing is only useful if you can do that in large scale. And Phaetus has facilities that with a lot of machines that can repeatedly manufacture to a very high degree of precision. And that is essential for some very crucial components in extruders and hot ends. I don't want to go into too much detail, but there is one key component I want to introduce and explain to you why such precision manufacturing is so essential. So the dual drive gear system on any kind of hot end is responsible for driving the filament into the hot end. And any filament that goes into a hot end and being extruded through a nozzle actually doesn't want to go through it. So we need to force basically the filament through that hot end. So we need to apply a force, and to apply a force you need proper grip. And to get proper grip, you need to catch or drive the filament with force into the hot end. And to cut into the hot end with those teeth is essential. So for anyone who worked with a dull blade before and tried to cut, let's say, a tomato, knows that if we apply too much force at some point, you're just going to squish the tomato. And then basically the same principle applies to a filament. We need to cut into the filament without deforming it, and to do so, we need very sharp blades. And these blades on this dual drive gear system, so the teeth need to be very, very sharp. But however, to get them very sharp, we need precisions of 0.01 millimeter plus minus to get this sharp edge on those teeth. And when I asked Phaetus to manufacture one of those dual drive gear systems, they managed to do that on the first try. I was very impressed with that because previous supplier needed, let's call it, a few runs beforehand until we can achieve this cutting on those blades. And so I was very impressed with Phaetus manufacturing techniques, and that will help us to manufacture new kind of products, which was before, let's call it, a bit more difficult to do that cost effectively. And with Phaetus, we have now finally a partner who can do this reliably, and we can prototype a lot faster. And that is a key element to driving forward our products. And regarding future products, we needed some design ideas. We needed a guide into the future. How can we design new kind of products? And the key, I think, is user-friendly design. And what do I mean with this? It's easy to say always user-friendly design, but we need some attributes to those. For instance, loading and unloading filament. This is something we do in 3D printing quite often. And we need to do this reliably and easily. Any user should be able to do that quite conveniently. So we decided we're going to stick to the manual wheel because the manual wheel has a sensitive pressure sensor, which is your hand. Your hand is very, very sensitive to pressure, and you can feel with experience already how it feels to extrude filament with the manual wheel. So, for instance, let's say you try out a new filament and you set the wrong hot end temperature, you can already feel it that the pressure inside the hot end is too much while loading the filament. So the same goes for a partially clogged nozzle. So if you load the filament, you can feel, yes, I'm PLA, I extruded that always easily. Suddenly it feels a bit harder to extrude. It might already indicate you before you start printing that there might be some issues with your nozzles. Next thing is maintenance. We often try to compare 3D printers with inkjet printers, and inkjet printers work so reliably because they use proprietary cartridge systems. And we in 3D printing want to avoid proprietary systems on filament especially. So we want to keep the system open, but if you use a new filament and you get your slicer settings wrong or the temperature is wrong on the hot end, well, you get issues with your print and, well, you need to resolve those issues then fast. And so you need to disassemble the extruder and hot end fast and easily to resolve your issues and can start printing again. So by removing 3 screws, so the 3-screw system, you should be able to get access to the whole filament path. And we'll try to keep this philosophy in mind when creating new kind of products, that by removing as few components as possible, you get access to the whole filament path and resolve your issues fast. Then multiple mounting options. Our products which we develop usually are mounted on existing 3D printers, which means we need our products to be adaptable to these kind of 3D printers. So we need to give you the options to attach those hot ends and extruders easily and conveniently. So this is also a key element we have to look out for, or will look out for. And nozzle changing. Nozzle changing has become quite popular over the last few years, or let's call it changing nozzles easily or more conveniently. It has become quite popular over the last few years, and we want to achieve the same kind of goal. And we're doing research into changing nozzle system conveniently as well. Also, probes options. So printers are actually blind bats. So printers are, well, they have no real sense what they're doing. So they're executing code, but they're not really aware what they're doing. And now we're seeing more and more probes being developed, and these need to have attachment options. And we want to give you those attachment options so you can attach multiple kind of probes to our systems. Same goes for part cooling. Part cooling is a undervalued component on any kind of extruder and hot end being delivered nowadays from manufacturers. But it's such a crucial component because without a proper part cooling system, your prints will not look like you want them to look. So we want to give you optimal part cooling systems as well. And customizability. You buy our products because you already started or decided to start customizing your 3D printers, but probably will not stop there. So what we want to do is have a product that is even further customizable, so having more options to customize. And these design goals will be implemented into our new products, which will come into the future. I wish I could tell you already about those products and show you how these designs have been implemented, but you just have to wait for that a bit. But in the future, you will see, hopefully in our products, exactly these design goals implemented. Thanks.
Okay, thank you, Max. Now I want to open up the floor to some questions by the audience. Jin and Max will answer these questions for you. Okay, the first one is, will drop effect directly join in the research and development of the Phaetus products? Jin, could you please answer this question? 那么第一个问题是 ，drop effect 会直接参与到 Phaetus 的产品研发设计中吗？那么我们请您来回答一下这个问题。
好，谢谢。我们会共享基础研究成果，并相互协作，会联合研发某些产品。
Okay, thank you, Jin. Jin said, Phaetus and Drop Effect will share their fundamental research to combine our knowledge base for further development. Phaetus and Drop Effect will jointly develop new products. Okay, the next question. What effect will the job effect and the Phaetus cooperation have on the pricing structure? Will it be cheaper or more expensive? Max, could you please answer this question for us?
Yeah, sure. So the short answer is it will become cheaper in the end for the consumer. And it has one fundamental reason. Let's take the example of the heat break I've mentioned before. So Phaetus is selling me this heat break with a profit margin. And I use that heat break and include that into the OmniDrop, which adds again a secondary project, like a second margin. And so the user actually pays two profits margins to two companies. And by combining the two companies, we can just make a singular profit margin onto that, which will be obviously cheaper. And as such, the consumer will have to pay less for the products in the end. Also, we're doing research, how can we manufacture more cost effectively? And this will also result in more, well, precision manufactured, reliable products, which are cheaper, yeah.
Okay, thank you, Max. The next question. Job Effect is known for flexible material printing. So is there a plan to also make flexible materials? Max, could you please answer this question for us?
Yes, so yes, Job Effect is known for printing flexible materials. And we print a lot with flexibles, and we have like this whole catalog of different kind of brands of flexible filaments, and analyzing them, how they behave inside the hot end, and how well they can be extruded, and try to find properties that match these behaviors to figure out why these filaments behave the way they do. And yes, we do have a list that says, yes, an ideal flexible filament should have these and these kind of properties. And we do, well, we're looking into creating flexible filaments. Will this happen tomorrow? Probably not. Will it happen day after tomorrow? Possibly. But there is also a lot of research going on, how can we apply flexible filaments in the real world, so applications of flexible filaments. So yes, in the end, there is definitely research going on in flexible filaments, and but maybe not tomorrow, but the day after tomorrow, we'll have flexible filaments from Propofect.
Okay, thank you, Max. The next question. It is known that Phaetus' main specialty are hot ends. I would like to know if there were any plans for Phaetus to develop an extruder. Jin, could you please answer this question for us? 那么下一个问题是，我们知道 Phaetus 的强项是做热端，那么有没有计划推出挤出机呢？那么请您来回答一下这个问题吧。
好，谢谢。这是个好问题，感谢大家的肯定。Phaetus 只是在热端上有一定的沉淀，但还不够优秀。我们会继续深耕于热端的研究，我们旨在为用户提供卓越的核心部件整体解决方案。因此，挤出机是不可或缺的一部分，请大家拭目以待。展会上有惊喜。
Thank you, Jin. Jin said it's a good question. Firstly, thanks for your recognition of our products. Phaetus has some knowledge on hot ends, but it is not enough. Therefore, we will continue to dedicate our research into hot ends. We aim to provide users with excellent overall solutions for cold components, so the extruder will be an indispensable part. Stay tuned. There is something in the works, and you will find the answer in the TCT exhibition. Okay. The last question would be, what are Phaetus' plans to improve the printing speed? Max, could you please answer this question for us?
Okay, yeah. So print speed actually has more to do with the printer itself than, let's say, the hot end and extruder. We, as manufacturers of hot ends and extruders, actually look more at flow rates. So let's give an example. Let's use a Dragon hot end, and a Dragon hot end can technically print with 750 millimeters per second. However, you would need to use a 0.2 millimeter nozzle printing at 0.1 millimeter layer heights. As you now increase the nozzle size and your layer height, more materials needs to be melted inside the hot end. And this means the hot end needs to keep up with the amount of filaments being pushed through. So that's why for us, the flow rate is basically or the max flow rate is the key factor to look at. And yes, we do look at different kind of options to increase the flow rate. The easiest one is obviously just extending your melt zone, making bigger and longer nozzles and heater blocks. However, we also try to look into how can we compress that package further down and increase the flow rates on a smaller scale, or like on a smaller package, let's put it this way. So there are already options like, the Rapido hot end that can print at high volumes. But we do look into more and more options how we can extrude more filament per time on a shorter hot end, basically, yeah.
Okay, thank you, Max. And thank you, Jun, for answering these questions for our audience. Now we are nearing the end of our live stream. If you want to get more news about Phaetus and the job effect, please join our Discord and follow us on our social media like Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, where we are keeping regular updates on our new products. Here are links to Phaetus Discord and social media. And on the 8th and 9th of June, we will be at the TCT show in Birmingham. New products will be released and displayed there. Welcome to our booth E40 and have a visit. Now we also have sent a link into the chat area. Please enter your address data into the link. In 1 hour, we will pick up 10 winners randomly and announce the result on our social media accounts. Thank you for watching our live stream, and we hope to see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye. See ya.